Honestly, I don't have any idea what I'm going to talk about, but am I going to let that stop me? Hell no. I'm going to start out by talking about shitty weather here. It is, it's like super chilly and windy and overcast. I saw one person on a TikTok say that it was like really sunny and like 60 or something there, but it felt like it was 70. So it seems like some places it's like, abnormally hot and some places it's abnormally cold. It's definitely cold here. God, I'm really sick of the cold. I can't wait until it starts. Well, I don't know. I can't wait until something changes. That's what I can't wait for. Man, I kind of had like a mini meltdown today. I went out, went for a walk, found myself getting dressed and I found me and Stella have a fucking routine that has developed. It is like, uh, she go like, she'll get up, she goes through her stuff and stuff. There's always a certain time she goes outside, and that's when she starts putting pressure on me to take her on a walk. So she'll sit outside like she's tapping her foot or something. And then, and always around 10:15 or something, I start getting up and getting dressed. I don't even know how this schedule has developed into itself. And so I'm go out, I take her for a walk. She's just dragging me all over the place. It just feels like wild energy outside, wild like the wind and the sky with all the weird clouds. And all the weird sounds outside. Like there is weird animal sounds or something. Like I constantly have to stop. I'll wait, and Stella never seems to be worried. But today she was like, she would not stop. She was going crazy over smelling something. She was in the middle of the street. She's going around. She's dragging me over here, dragging me over there. She's like, I was like, dude, I don't know what you're tracking, but we can't just go up in everybody's yard. And so I don't know. She was definitely something different. And yeah, anyways, after we went for the walk and, it was just being drugged. And so then we're walking back into the house, and I just felt like it was Groundhog Day. I was like, oh my fucking God, it's fucking Groundhog Day. I swear to God, I've said it so many times. Where it's just like this repetitive, like every day is like the same day. Like I have to create something to make the day different. Like there has to be something that I do to make the day different. It's just like the same day over and over and over. It's like, oh, some days it just gets to me, man. And, I think it was the day before yesterday, I think I washed my hair with water. And then yesterday it was just saturated with sebum. So today I just washed the top of it with the aloe vera stuff. And so I have dry flyaway hair for a day. I'm sure by tomorrow it will be sebum enriched. It will be soaked again. I don't even know. I don't know if my head is doing it because it's happy or it's doing it because it's mad at me. I haven't figured it out. So, and I forgot to say that there had been some tornadoes. So if you don't know about that, there's some more devastating tornadoes. There's a big ass volcano going off. I think it's in Italy or something. There's like a tsunami in Japan. Like there's so much stuff just going and going and going. Like it's not Groundhog Day for everybody. And that's probably the shift on my Groundhog Day. It's like, and then I'll be sitting there going, damn it, I wish it would have just stayed another Groundhog Day. And then I'm trying to dodge trees as they're falling in an earthquake. Who knows? We got the tsunamis, we got the earthquakes, we got the volcanoes. Like I'm in a pretty lively area. Plus, it's, active just because it's forest. So it's a whole nother vibration. And now the news is even talking about that there's a mothership. So there's a mothership up above us. And now they've come out and said, oh, there's a mothership. And then you don't even know, like, if it is that they're trying to get us all to, like War of the Worlds or something, to get us all scared. So we're all like running, oh my God, there's aliens, they're going to get us. or if they're, becoming too obvious. And so now it's like, okay, we just gotta have to say, um, there definitely seems like all their stories are falling apart. I just saw, Kevin Bacon is getting fried. Uh, there was a TP deal a long while ago where he started a whole thing about drag, because when people are saying drag should be in schools and stuff, he started a whole campaign, to support drag, like a whole big thing. And so then, to me, that was him showing himself, like what's, he's on one side or the other. So he's on either the I don't know. I don't know that all the people that have to push the perv agenda are as pervy as what they have to, but there's some kind of sellout or something that they sell out of themselves, So I don't know, but I don't know if this is true. But this was on some gossip news today too. Is him and his wife now have been their DNA tests show that they're really cousins. It's like, so they're probably one of the elite families, because they, I think, are meant to marry their cousins. I don't know. Like Tom Hanks is one. Like they're out there living under other names and stuff. They are they're like out there to what's that called? Perpetuate is coming into my head, but it's like they are infiltrate into society as like, not as a Rockefeller or Rothschild or Cooper, as just, a Hanks or a Bacon. That's kind of funny. So anyways, I don't know, more stuff coming on him. Another person too that seems, two people who seem to just be, um, a lot of talk. The ones coming onto the stage, is where they're coming on the stage for a reason. So this is like the time where people are being exposed. And so they're coming on the stage for a reason. So it's going to be like, you're going to see if they're the good guy or bad guy. So they'll have, like, I think some scenarios play out maybe. I don't know. But Jennifer Aniston and Sandra Bullock just keep being in the news, being in the news. Like, even, I had heard this story a long while ago, and it's resurfaced, but I don't think it ever went away. It's just that when people go against certain people, they get shut up. And so this woman went into the hospital, have twins, and one of her twins, she was told died or something. And, but really it was like sold or something to Sandra Bullock. And she's got all sorts of proof and pictures and all sorts of stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, that's just like the weird shit, that they get away with is, you gotta go just take somebody's baby. Like, I don't know. That's how this world works. There's no telling. When they were going and taking all these babies from other countries and acting like they were doing so much good in the world, there's no telling what was really going on. Like, and look at Angelina Jolie. Oh, another thing too is somebody keeps putting together these different, uh, like, picture montage things of these different famous guys with these super, super young girls. And man, there was a lot. There was some, like, I didn't even know. They're like 42 with a, some were 16. It's like the most common age is like 16 and 14. But even like Johnny Depp was 26 when he was with Winona Ryder, and she was 16 or 14 or something. She was a kid. And I, how many times have I talked about, like, when I was 16 and I was going out with all these 26, 27-year-olds, and how strange it is, and how, it's strange that people just allowed it and stuff. And then when you really think about it, so yeah, when you look at all these people, there was tons. There's tons when I was 16, like, it was just like an accepted thing. Like 30, 40-year-old men going out with 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. taking him to parties and everything. I don't know, it's wild. But so all of that um, keeps going and going and going. There's a whole bunch of stuff because what was another thing? Oh, and stuff like this. Like there's some sort of Kelly Ripa thing. Um, I don't know, she was off or something. So they ran a video and it was her saying she wanted to go on Diddy's yacht or something. It's like, and then they backtrack, oh, we didn't mean to do it, whatever, because now, he's a bad guy. But stuff is being on purpose. That stuff is showing connections. I think. I don't think any of the stuff that is like, oh, wait, no, gosh, darn. No, people are being exposed right and left on purpose. And especially in ways to make them be uncomfortable and to make them have to, say something, expose themselves. I would imagine that there's a lot of people in Hollywood that are kind of sweating it, like, oh, what's going to come out about me? Um, and that is something that I always knew from the time I was a kid. And I don't know where the lesson came from. Because usually, there's always things, where it will be like I would learn a lesson or something. But that I always knew that you can't get away from your lies. Whatever you're going to go and do, it's always going to come back on you. There's no hiding from the truth. And so that, I don't know, it made me evaluate things differently through my life. Like, I wouldn't lie and do stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of people who do really shady stuff. Like, I had a friend, I thought it was a friend, and I was young. I was divorced. I was stuck in California, and I couldn't afford to live in a place that was very expensive, but I was stuck there because of the court system. They wouldn't let me leave because I was divorcing like, he lived in California and I was from Texas, and I couldn't leave and go back home. I had to stay there because I had my kids, and I should have went and filed somewhere else. Then, it would have been different. And somebody told me too, when I went in to file, some young girl told me, don't file. You're going to be so sorry you ever did. You're going to be stuck in the most miserable system. You're not going to believe it. And I was so young, and, I just wanted out. And so, yeah, and, that was my warning. So I knew, and, that is so many times in life where life has showed me, like, I had an opportunity. You have an opportunity. You'll watch as you reevaluate things in your life. You had opportunities to look at things differently, but you had to learn. You had to go in and learn. And there's already people who are already like, oh my God, I wish I would have learned sooner. I wish I would have learned sooner. You got to let go of that. You learn when you learn. And just be glad you did learn. Don't be mad at yourself that, it took so long, and and like I've said, as there is this, like, because they're always talking, but it's like the more you listen, the more you tune in, it's like giving you guidance through how to maneuver through life. Like, I swear to God, it is like, don't do that, turn here, go there, do that. Just like when I was 3 and they said, don't put that soap in that water, you're going to get in trouble. I'm telling you, you're not going to be happy about this. Like, it was the whole thing. It seems like I was in the bathroom for a long time having this discussion with these two different energies. And then after I made my choice, and then there was a whole thing of like explaining to me things. And that is how I have been living my life always. But it is definitely, there's a fine tuning, because the more that you listen, the more you pay attention, the more you catch on that there's always, they're always saying something. Just like when, over the plastic surgeon thing. They told me ahead of time. They showed me in a vision. They told me ahead of time that he was going to think about it, and he was going to, there was going to be some kind of thing. Like, it was going to be, it seemed like one way, and then he was going to think about it. I didn't know, like, he would call me from home the next day and say, I've been up all night thinking about this. But when he did, I was like, oh my God, they told me, and there's so much of like listening and learning how to trust your instincts, learning how to trust your connection, learning how to live in that life, in that groove. Like right now, did I finish that other thing? Oh yeah, the Groundhog Day thing. Yeah, because right now, um, I keep feeling like the Groundhog thing is, like when you're on the riding the rapids, and uh, like I've talked about it before, but so there's parts where it's like you're just like a lazy river, you're just going, and then there's other parts where it's building up, and there's other parts where it's just really wild, and so like right now to me, I feel like I'm in this part before it gets to a different part. Like I'm in this part where it is like you just gotta relax and not sit here and try and rush what's to come. What's to come is coming, but you don't have to sit here and stress out and oh well, if I just look, well if I just watch, well, because sometimes it'll feel like that, and I know that's part of my challenges because that is part of why you see things ahead. There's always challenges. There's always like there's people who want to go out and try and profit or make like they're special or something, but you have is a part of like your abilities to be able to see and evaluate and learn to trust yourself. And the like I know I say stuff like on here, but I'm not trying to sell anybody a story. I'm just trying to get people to look at things from other perspectives, like look at it from the cycles of life or the cycles of earth, or the look at the different patterns and stuff, like to see outside of the box so that you don't live in fear. Like that's just all they peddle is fear. I just still can't believe that, like that one religious girl, and then today she's out doing tarot. And it's like, okay, well, cool, more power to you. Try and merge the two together and come up with something or whatever. Come up with your own storyline. I mean, everybody's got to come up with their own storyline. She doesn't have boundaries between the religion and spiritual. Like, good, and I'm sure she is helping lead some people. And, like there's all different people out there leading people. It is all dependent on, what it is they're talking about and what the different people are that are trying to learn or grow at the time, what they're going to be gravitating towards. Because everybody's going to be gravitating towards the information that is, suits them for what it is that they need to work on. So, like if you're listening to me and, don't waste your time if it's not helping you. Find somebody else that you can listen to that makes more sense to you. Don't force something. And that is one thing too that I always get in my learning and my lessons is everything comes to you. That idea like you have to force things, that is like a need, a power, a control. Like, okay, well, maybe it's going to go okay, but God, can I really trust the universe? I better just do some work. I better do this. I better do that. And I'm not talking about like not putting work into whatever your project is. Like you can, let's just say this for instance. Hold on, let me get a drink because I did get a cup of tea. Hold on. I didn't, I thought about drinking at first, but then I was like, oh, then I'll have to pee in the middle. That might be worse. I'll just drink it. So hold on, I'll pee after. Hold on. So think about this, like if you had okay, because I was seeing it just a second. It was like an art thing. So if you had an art thing, what was my thing I was gonna say? God, rewind. Damn it. It was something about value, and I don't know. It'll come back to me. I can't. Oh, forcing things. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. And so let's say that you are doing some sort of art, and you it is like Because there is a certain point of you going and, pounding the pavement, doing the work, putting in the work, doing your project, and I don't know, talking about it, showing it, or whatever. But not to get frustrated and mad if it doesn't go in the direction you think, to the point where you feel like, you got to go force things. Like you got to go hit every gallery and beg and stuff like that. That is where you don't want to do. Like the universe will bring it to you, so you're not having to force that. Because like on the plastic surgeons, then like the lady in Spokane, which they've called me again, and now, and ask if I want, if talk to me about scheduling or something like that. But I'm scheduled somewhere else. I'm down to a couple weeks, man. I'm so excited. But even when I was calling, like when I was trying, because I called them because I had seen them on the website. And I called them and it was like kept hitting dead end. It was like, it was feeling very forced. When something starts feeling like you're forcing it, you're going in the wrong direction. And and then when I was looking, so then the one woman, and I called a few different places and I talked to people online. I tried to find places and talk to people and ask. And that's how I was finding out all this, the en blanc and the surgical suites and all this bullshit. And so that's what their interest is, not your health. It's much more interesting to have their fancy things and beef up their surgeries so that they can charge a lot more money. But so the what was I gonna say? So the going oh yeah, so then when I had to go get the physical, because then it was more than one that said that you had to get a physical, especially because of my age. Like, just look at how they are about age. They don't even think about seeing you first and then seeing like, oh man, you're kind of look a little unhealthy. I mean, they just automatically assume like, geez, by 60, geez, they're really hanging on. Which I just saw Gene Hackman. I think he's almost 100. He looks so skinny. And he's out walking with his wife who was 60 something. So he's 90 something. So I don't know. When he was 60, she was 30. I don't know what, like, I don't understand, like, how that's, like, you win a prize. Like, oh, look, I got this young girl who can't think for herself. Boy, she's so fun. But aren't I lucky? It's like, maybe wait until she grows up a little bit. Oh, my God, give her a chance. So, anyways, in there, who was it else? I just saw somebody else. Oh, it was, oh, what's her name? Diane Carroll. No, not Diane Carroll. Diane Cannon. She's like 96. Like, fuck. I can't believe, like, she's so old. And she looked good. Like, her hair could be a wig or something, but maybe, I don't know. There's so many of these women who, in that industry, jack up their faces with so much plastic surgery and stuff, because there's fucking so many people doing videos on that. And, but I swear to God, it is part of the industry. It's part of how they work together. Like, I bet you, like, there are some of those fucking, producers and directors and shit who had surgeons and, convince these people, like, well, you got to look a lot younger for this part. You got to do this. You got to do that. All they do is, feed off these people's insecurities. Because the people don't stand up to them. They just keep on doing, and feeling like shit about themselves. Like all these women who are going and doing all these injectables. That's the one, the footage that was caught on some Daily Reporter or something with Sandra Bullock and Jennifer Aniston and some other guy, what's his name? Justin Bateman's wife, all coming out of some ritzy plastic surgeon house place. It's like a giant ass mansion, a house like in Greenwich or something. And they have this big ass house, and it's like a house spa or something. So they go there and get treatments. I don't know if they do surgeries at the place or what. I think they just were getting injections or something, because they all came out together, so they weren't getting surgeries together. But um, what gets me, because I've been battling whatever this injection was, which I feel like it's gotten so much better. Like I'm feeling like what I'm doing is working, so I feel good about that. And oh yeah, and when I was saying I was having so many stomach problems over the past couple of weeks, I was like, what the fuck has happened to my stomach? It's like I got some kind of stomach bug or something. So I did the horse paste over the last like few days. Now my stomach is like, I feel so much better. I'm like, man, I think that I got to be more on top of it. And it's so weird is I don't even like eat meat. Like how in the hell, like where am I getting all these parasites? Like, I don't know. I guess it can't, like, I know it's hard to wash all the stuff off of the things. Maybe they're like, I don't know. I don't get it. But anyways, I feel much better now after doing that. And today I did the last bit. So then I have like a little bit left and I'm going to save it because you got to do it again, like when they hatch out. And so this month is going to be like, it's going to be slim. Like I keep going over my things, it's being like, okay, don't stress out, don't stress out. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I keep, but what about this? But what about that? Well, what if this? What if that? It's like it's gonna be fine. So I just gotta go with the flow. Like I said, go like I'm in the part where it's just gonna just like floating, and I gotta get into the flow of it and stop being like, well, what about that? I gotta control that. What about this? I gotta control that. It's like, no, they will come in. The universe will come in when it is meant to. Just like when I had to go get the physical. And then she said, well, why don't you go to the surgeons here and I'll send over a thing. That makes the most sense to try this plastic surgeon's here first. And so she sent the things over. Hold on. And they called me and they said, oh, no, we won't do that. No, we do it en blanc in a surgical suite. It's $10,000. So whatever. Most of them, I think, are like $8,500. But, I mean, they could beef them up, like, whatever. I'm sure some of them are 10,000. But, so, I told them, no, I don't know. I'm looking for something different. And so then it was when I was looking on there for other surgeons, because I was still waiting for the Seattle one, because I had them send over the referral to this other office. And because I was going to go, they wanted to go one at a time. So I was going to go to Seattle and then Spokane. But I said, when I called, I said, can you just send them both? And so supposedly they sent the Seattle one and the Spokane one. Well, I just started from the Spokane one just last night. And so, I mean, I've already gone to the appointment, come back, schedule. Like, I've already done a lot of stuff. It's like, dang, takes you a long time to call a referral. And then, but see, that's what it's supposed to be. They have a certain way of doing it. Like, I could have gone to a lot more. I could have run around trying to force it. And I didn't know if that was what it was going to be. But they had told me that he was going to think about it, that he was, that it was, it really showed me was when I was looking at that other list. Because I don't even know what drew me in to think about, like, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I should try back Yakima. They've got surgeons. That's a big city. And so, looking on for Yakima plastic surgeons. And then they went down to the bottom, called one. It was the same thing, no, they won't do it. And then this one just flashed. It hadn't been there before. It just flashed on. And I hadn't seen it, So then I called it, and that's the one. And I didn't have a doctor preference. I didn't know who the doctors were. And so I just said, whoever. Yeah, he went back and asked the nurses, and the nurses said, yeah, I think that they would do that. And then he just put me with one, and then I went in, and then it was the right one because he did listen. He did think about it, and he did call me. And so but I could have gotten really frustrated. Like, I did have some frustrations, but I could have gotten more frustrated and trying to control it. And, losing my mind. And I could have just focused. And it's easy to do when something is hurting and something is shifting, and you get these aches. And like today, my fingers are hurting really bad. And so, to sit there and think like, oh my God, I've got this plastic in my body. It's like, look, you can really focus on what's bothering you. And so you have to like shift your mind out of there. I'm like, I have to find peace and just keep being like, okay, it's just a couple more weeks, couple more weeks. And then, whatever's going to be next to be next. It's going to be, I'll have to face like not being able to pick things up. And, if it hurts, I can't imagine it hurting that bad. I think it will feel weird. I think it'll feel really weird when it like empties all of a sudden. It's like, it is weird how you put this, it's like some kind of spacer and blow it up, and then it takes up this extra space in your body. And then when it all of a sudden deflates, it's going to be like all of a sudden it go back. And I keep thinking about this and thinking about it, how weird it's going to be. It's like my whole body's going to change sizes all of a sudden. And it's going to feel weird. Like when you go up to like do something, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, that's weird. Like it's going to feel different to feel my own self. You know what I'm saying? And not just like the size or something. I'm just saying it's like this is changing like the shape of my body. And, and that's what trips me out is like why we would even think to promote like this one part. In a sexualized, pervy, fetishy society, yeah, it makes sense. And then you have to ask yourself, like, well, my insecurities, that's how I got myself into the mess, is my own insecurities of trying to, I feel like it's this beauty standard idea. And what really gets me too, and I think I was talking to Crystal, it says something, but I really gets me is like, it is all these women, all these adult women who should be more secure in themselves, but they push this beauty standard, and all these women, and they're making people so sick right now. Like people look much more older and sicker than they are just because they are so drained of their nutrition. And so once people start, it's kind of like, everybody is like like if you had a little pot of flowers, everybody's got their own little pot and it's them. And, but when a plant, it looks like something's wrong, like it's drained, the leaves aren't colored right. It's nothing's right about this plant. And so you start doing all this stuff, trying to save it and take care of it. And then all of a sudden it comes back to life and it just turns into this completely different, it just blossoms and blooms and just grows and becomes beautiful. And that to me is what's going to happen. It's like everybody is in this like really drained and stuff like that. But still, you have all these adult women who have no confidence. And what does that do to the young girls? Like when the young girls just see all the older women, all have to be relying on filters, not rely on their own minds and what they have to offer. Like they don't see themselves as having any value unless it's, coming out of a pretty face or something. And I think that is, that's a part of things that people have to heal. You have to see your value. You can't get wrapped up in, that is you being, a bigot to yourself. Like to not see your own value, to think like, well, I'm old. I'm going to have to put on a filter. I'm going to have to look a lot better to get people to accept me. And then plus, like, how many people are just trying to be seductive? You know what's something today that has stood out to me was, women, I know men do it too, but women, and they will do like pictures of their husbands or boyfriends or whatever, try and make like, oh, look at how hot he is. Like, everybody, don't you want him? He's so hot. I'm so lucky. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the greatest thing in the world. And I was like, man, that is so weird when you really think about it. And for one thing, why in the world, if you are secure with your partner, why would you want everyone lusting after them? Like that is, like I want them to my own self. Like, I don't want to be dangling in front of the other girls going, oh, look what I got. Ha, 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 ha. Because, you know, I don't know. I think there's something a lot more sacred to our relationships and our love that we've just devalued, you know. And when you see these girls and guys too, like everything is just like a trophy. It's like, look at what I did. I'm better than you. I got this. And especially when people are getting together just over looks, it's like, do we even have anything in common? Same thing with these like old guys getting together with these really young girls. I know that there's old ladies getting together with really young guys. And there was somebody who I had said something about that, and they got all like, well, I've been with a young guy and we've been married for a very long time. And I said, well, great, you know, that's great. More power to you. But were you out chasing young guys when you met him? Like, was that what you were doing? Were you going to the, you know, are you 55-year-old woman going to the sports bars, wearing wigs and putting on makeup and heels or something, you know, trying to hook yourself a young guy? Or did it just happen naturally? Because that's a big difference. Like, you have people who are out there trying to pursue people who are much younger than them because it makes them feel better about themselves. It's like the same thing with these girls putting these filters on and thinking that they look like these filters. It's the same thing. They go out and they get somebody who's younger, then they feel like that gives them their youth back. Like, they feel younger. And I don't know. To me, there's just like a lot of fetish and a lot of relationships that have been established. There's just a lot of fetishy kind of stuff, you know. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how many people are really basing their relationships on true love, where you really, you know, you take responsibility for yourself. And I don't know, there's something that is about an independence. And I feel like so many relationships are so established on codependence, but there's an independence. There's a part of allowing the other person to be themselves, to not just allow them, but to build them up, to not just see them as an extension of you, but to see them as their own person. I don't know. I just know there's something that is going to be transitioning, evolving in our relationships. And, you know, another thing too is I saw this video of this woman and she's like 50 years old. Well, now she's 51 and she's pregnant. She's 29 weeks pregnant or something. And so she was talking about, she looks good. Like, if I saw her at a store or something, I'd be like, oh, she probably looks like she's like 40. So, you know, she looks like she's taking care of herself. And so anyways, she was saying that she felt pretty good. She feels tired, but she said all pregnant women feel tired. And I was thinking, I think there is going to be such a shift. I don't think there's going to be young people having kids anymore. I think young people are going to start appreciating being young and having fun and going out and exploring and getting to know people and finding themselves, and not like, you know, trapping themselves down with a family that they can't afford and then being angry at the kids for being there. And there's so much horrible stuff going on about all that. Like, oh man. Like, I knew that would all be going, but Jesus Christ, it's like one thing after another. Oh man. And that is just the ones I see. I'm sure in every little town and every little city there is some horrific, you know, family dramas of DV and horrible shit playing out, and people killing their own kids. It's horrible. But, and you gotta remember, like, this is all big soul stuff. These are big soul, like, this isn't just this one life and this one murder. This is like bigger. There's more murder involved. Not just one. Somebody's murdered somebody and somebody's murdered somebody. It's like, oh my goodness. But let me think. The the people, the people, I just know all the people have to, it's like everybody has to start seeing their own truth for their own selves. And I think it's shifting into that. Like I feel like it is it feels like it's like being pulled tighter or something. Like it feels like it's about to shift. Like this certain energy, it just feels like it's so wrung out. And it's like really squeezed out. That's all of this energy purging out. But you gotta remember that this is like exposing it. It's been being purged out. This is like the exposing it. This is the talking about it. This is where it starts catching a lot of people's attention who weren't paying attention, because now it's being said. And so it'd be more, probably more with documentaries and stuff, more ways to get the people who need information to come in that kind of way of it being more, authority. There's more authority to it when it's on the news and in papers and being talked about. So then it catches more attention. Because, I mean, it's wild when you talk about some of the stuff and people are like, no, that's crazy. Now the stuff's coming out and it's like, oh my gosh. But see, they're going to have their own process of being able to be like, why couldn't I see when they were talking about it? What was my resistance? And because everything, all the resistance that people are going to find in themselves is like this complicit sleeping. It's like sleepwalking through life. It's just like, okay, whatever. I got other things on my mind. Okay, well, whatever. I guess we got to deal with that. And so much of stuff that people just allowed because they just didn't have the time, the energy, the effort. This one girl did some video talking about all this stuff that is expected to be fit into like a 24-hour day, how it's like so impossible. And yeah, it is a lot to have to take care of yourself, go to work and do all that stuff. But that's why it's going to come down to like the working thing was the thing that we needed to stop. We should have been taking care of ourselves. We should have stopped thinking that we needed all the things that they told us that we needed and focused on ourselves and our health. But that's like why there's going to be so much backtracking now. There's going to be so much of people like, oh my gosh, and there is going to be like it's going to be an uphill battle for some people because they've just let themselves go so far. They haven't taken care of themselves in a long while. And I talk to people all the time on TikTok, and there's people, who they haven't taken care of themselves, and now it's catching up with them, and now they want to turn it around, and they want to start taking care of themselves. And so, like I said yesterday, I think is like no matter where you are in your journey, you just start. Don't don't um, don't think, oh, well, I've gone too far. That's like somebody who's like 600 pounds just being like, well, now I'm too fat. I'm never going to be able to lose weight. Forget it. No, you just take, and to me, it's always take the smaller increments. Don't get yourself in so you're so overwhelmed by what your goal is. Just take it in small increments and be like, you know what, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. Just work on 15 pounds. If you lose out 15 pounds, then work on another 15 pounds. Just go at it in smaller bits. And then, you still get to the same place. But you feel you have more successes. Your success isn't so far away so that you can feel like you have got, that you're getting somewhere. So you don't have to feel like you have to take on the whole thing. So even if you're starting from a point where you've like let yourself go, you're on all sorts of meds, you've got weight, and don't be thinking like, even when you look at yourself and you think like, oh, my skin looks so white and wrinkly and my hairs look all stringy now and falling out, and you know, all the things that happen when you're aging. Just, just start going at it, and then just document it and watch. You'll start seeing yourself, uh, the transferent, is it transferent? No, transference, transformation. The transformation. You'll watch your transformation occur. Um, just, you know, keep at it. Don't give up. That's the thing, is like, there's a point where you gave up on yourself before. You don't want to give up on yourself anymore. Now you want to see the value of yourself and really work towards taking care of yourself. I mean, I don't know if I ever finished saying it yesterday, so we'll say it again today. But, you know, you got to start out with the detoxing. You got to get rid of the things that are feeding off of you, for one thing. So you got to do a cleanse. And there's all sorts of cleanses. And, you know, in certain worms, like, they need certain amount of time to be killed. Like, there's a whole thing going on there. So it's how much effort you put into it. And, you know, and I've done them, you know, throughout a couple of years, like here and there. Oh, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try that one. So, you know, you don't have to be perfect. You just keep trying different things until you find stuff that works for you. And, but I kind of prefer the horse-based thing. I do. Um, but you still have to, like, have charcoal or cloves or something like that, to move the stuff out of you, because it can go in there and kill it, but that doesn't mean that it's going to make it all go out. So, and that's another thing too, is like, if you are using all these like antioxidant detoxing kind of teas and stuff, you got to remember that you'll get a buildup of a bunch of dead stuff. So you got to flush your system, and, you know, you got to flush it regularly. So the flushing your system, doing the cleanses, trying to get everything out of you that feeds off of you, that'll make you feel better right there. So many people's health improves. So many autoimmune things, so much stuff gets improvement just by that part. And so that is important. Then you got to really evaluate your life. You got to really start looking at where you have chemicals in your house. Like, if you are on a bunch of drugs, then that's up to you to figure out, like, you know, what you want to do about that. And to me, when I decided to get off of all the ones I did, I went cold turkey on most of them. I think there was 3 or 4, because I was on 18. And I think I was on 3 or 4 that I had to wean off of. And I weaned off all of them. I think within 2 weeks, I was off everything. And so, but you have to decide, like, if you're on blood pressure medicine, say, and you're like, oh, I want to get off of this stuff. And, you know, look up all the different herb teas and all the plants and stuff that promote have healthy vascular, blood pressure, all that stuff. Cayenne is something too for blood pressure and heart. You know, taking a little bit of that every day. So, and then try, you know, to adjust your meds, like, you know, when you are taking stuff that is going to help you naturally, then when you go in for your check and your blood pressure is good, tell them you want to reduce it. You want to keep going down and going down until you just figure out how to wean yourself off. Just keep going down, because I know, like, for certain things like heart medicine and blood pressure, a lot of people get really scared, like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a heart attack, oh my God, I'm gonna die, you know. So that is an extra burden to take on when you're just trying to figure out how to take care of yourself. So don't feel like you have to, you know, do everything. It's okay to have to wean off and still be dependent. Like, you built this dependency up with this system, so it's okay to have to step down little by little, to baby steps, to not have to dive right in and think like, okay, now you're just gonna have to take care of yourself with no medical intervention. It's okay to, you know, wean yourself off of the whole medical institution. So and you just do a lot of stuff through awareness, just being aware. And so anyways, so doing the detoxing is making sure you go through everything in your house and start seeing Like what are chemicals that you can cut out? Like if you eat a lot of processed food, that is someplace to start right away. And I think people need to reevaluate their alcohol intake for sure. There's other things you can drink if you want to have like a relaxing drink in the evening. There's other things that you can make. There's mocktails, there's herbs and stuff that you can make that have the same relaxation stuff, but it doesn't have the weight problem. And there's things with alcohol that do something to mess with your metabolism, your liver and stuff. So, you know, but that's everybody's got to find their own balance. Don't just do something because I say. You've got to listen to yourself and find your own, what feels right to you. Like if you've been drinking a bottle of wine every night for years and you feel like it's something that you need to keep doing, then keep doing it. Don't stop doing it just because I say. But you got to reevaluate your life and your lifestyle. And so when you look in your cabinets, like if all your food is all got a whole bunch of ingredients, you may want to go in and start. It could be a huge motivation to go in and look up some of those ingredients and see what they are. That might be your big motivating factor that is like, dang, look, I didn't know it was that damn bad. Or you're like, hell no. I mean, people go in and do that and start throwing shit away. They start being like, oh my God, I can't ingest this. Especially if you've got any kind of health concerns. It's so crazy how people have got these big health concerns like heart and blood pressure and all this stuff. But then they go eat these foods that are full of this stuff that is making you so sick and killing you. So anyways, that's a good thing to do, is go in and reevaluate, look through your food, see, that I did with cleaning supplies, shampoo, everything. I start trying to get all the chemicals out, because they affect us bad, and they deplete you. They make it to where you can't fight things. You're just depleted. You're beat down. And especially because they drain all the minerals out of you. And so that is where it gets important, is to start cooking clean and use cast iron. I swear to God, I can't stress that enough, is get away from the Teflon pans and start using cast iron, because it's just like it's one of the hidden truths. Same thing as like when they went and took out all of the copper pipes. So they knew it was going to make us sick. 100% they knew. And they knew getting us off of cooking on a cast iron. And then, and just think how wacky this is too, how far they've gotten, and where these doctors don't even think of that. They just sit there and tell you, oh no, you got to go take this, iron for your anemia. And so they want you to go take an iron supplement, which you can't absorb it properly. So you never get out of the state of anemia. You have to do it through the cast iron, absorbing it into your food, and then you eat the food, and then the food goes through and absorbs into you. So you actually get the nutrition. But see, they don't want us to do that. But like everything you cook, you can cook on there, and it absorbs. Like I cook bread on it. I cook cakes on it. I cook potato. I cook everything. Well, not beans. I don't cook beans on there. But if I was going to like refry the beans or something, but I mean, you can't boil on it. I'm sure there is Dutch ovens. Dutch ovens, like they used to make stews and stuff in those things. So you can boil in them. You just got to get the right kind. So, and just think of how healthy. You cook a stew in a Dutch oven and you leave that cooking all day long. Just think of the nutrition that you are putting into your body from that, and how much the nutrition is needed to absorb the copper, absorb the magnesium. Like these all go together. They rely on one another. Like we all need to come to this, relying on one another as a unit. And everything goes together. It's like micro macro. It's like, but it's weird because it is like this shifting of us all trying to figure it out. And that is like, everything is so micro macro. But anyways, so with the nutrition. So when you cook the food And then you just got to drink, you got to get clean water. Like some people are doing all sorts of things, or distilled water, well water, filtered water. Like, and then some people are using some water that is oxidizing inside their cup, which I would, inside their copper, which I've got a little like spot down in mine that's kind of bluish green or something. But if you have a lot of it, I swear to God, I would try a different water. I would think it is some sort of reaction. That's why I think they took the copper pipes out, for one thing, is that the chemicals that they put in the water, it would create a reaction in the copper. So that is something that you just got to pay attention to, like the water you're using and stuff. You can't just automatically think, well, I'm drinking water out of copper, so I'm going to be healthy now. There's more to it. And how much it all needs vitamin D. And we're not getting enough sun. You know, if you're getting enough sun, that's good. But most people need more vitamin D. There's some people say you need vitamin K, which I've seen things that say all vitamin K is synthetic. And so then it's like, that's where you got to go out and see for yourself, see what works for you. And there's so many people that are using and taking different things. Mine worked for me, but there's other things working for other people. And so, you know, when I think about mine, it was like I started on the boron a couple years ago. So I was already getting that mineral in. And then I was thinking there was another. I had done the magnesium before, and the vitamin D and the B12. Because there's a lot of people who are big on the B12. A lot of people have B12 shortage. I had a deficiency. I had a deficiency, and I had to even get B12 shots for a while, and I took B12. But the last time I got tested, I hadn't been taking it, and my levels were fine. So I don't know. I think I probably got it back up or something. I don't know. Like, and I don't want to just be going to the labs and asking them, you know, I want to pull free from their system and start trying to listen to my body. But I probably will get the B12 because everybody's trying these B12 drops. So I'll probably get it and try it and see. As people are like, man, this stuff is great. Like, it gives you all the energy. Just take it in the morning and you're just ready to go all day. I was like, well, I might get it and try it and see. You know, and if I have a really good effect, then I'd be thinking, oh, well, I probably did need some B12. So, you know, listen to your body first. And plus, you don't know, even with the labs, with their machines and stuff, if they're like shorting us, if they're telling us, oh yeah, well, you've got enough, but really we need way more. You know, you don't know. These people lie to us about everything. And so drinking out of the copper, cooking on the cast iron, and then using mineral salts, which the Baja Gold, I saw things says that there's 91 minerals in that one. And I think it's like 80 something in this Celtic salt. But the Celtic salt has gotten way more expensive. Baja Gold is not as expensive. But in any of the mineral salts, like I'm sure that there's probably some other ones. Those ones are popular, but I'm sure you can find some other ones. And so just make sure that you get mineral salts and then use them. Like, I kind of think of them like a pill or medicine or something. Like, oh, I gotta go chew a few of those. I've done it a few times today. So that, and then I have magnesium spray I got for her. So I start spraying that on the bottom of my feet, which that helps with insomnia. Like if you have problems with sleeping, magnesium spray on the bottom of your feet helps. Like, man, but I'll tell you, it is hard to wake up with the ocean waves too. Oh my God. And sometimes when she wakes up and starts whining, it's like, oh God, I can't pull myself out. Oh, I just want to sleep. I was sitting here watching this movie earlier. I was watching some movie. It's really crappy out. There was one, it was like it went into two parts. And both of these movies are like from the 80s and 90s. And they're always so dramatic. And this one was super dramatic. And it's always so weird, too, sometimes when you see the people again, when you haven't seen them in a long time. But it had about the husband dying and all the stuff that this woman went through after her husband died. And she had a lot coming into herself. It was like a Stella. It wasn't Stella get her groove on because she wasn't our. This woman. It was. But it was kind of this finding herself. It took long. It took a long time. It was a two-parter. But then I was watching this other one, and it had. See, I think the first one was Donna Reed. This one had Joe. Joan, the one who is married to Paul Newman. Couldn't think of her last name, and she's the wife. And then Lindsay, the bionic woman, Lindsay Wagner. She was the other woman, and there was so many good things in it about moral issues and stuff. Because the husband, was having an affair. He was prone to having a lot of affairs, and the woman knew it. So she was mad at herself that she had stayed, because then by the time he suddenly died, he had a stroke at 48 years old and died, and nobody was expecting it, especially his girlfriend and their 6-year-old. And so he hadn't got a new will. He was real rich. He had a house down on Malibu on the beach that him and his 6-year-old and his girlfriend lived in, and then a big mansion that he lived in out with his Brooke Shields as his daughter, and Joan, what is it, Joan? I can't think of her name. So she had no idea about this woman, and so she was so mad when she found out, and she had so much anger and so much resentment, and I was just seeing so much of, like, man, the bad choices that people make. That is when you start really creating some karma for yourself, is when you start reacting in anger, when you start becoming belligerent and angry. And she wanted to, kick this woman out of the house. She wanted the kid to not have anything. And then the guy hadn't done a second will, so he hadn't put them in. And so she had this, like, moral dilemma if she was going to do anything. Well, Brooke Shields, she had decided that she was going to go see this kid. And she met him out on the beach, and she was like, oh my God, this is my brother. And she was like, I'll give him half of my money. Because Joan Woodward, maybe, she was like so mad, fuck everybody, fuck this guy, fuck that. She was so pissed. She was so hurt. And so much of someone's pain is their own anger at themselves. And that was really cool too, was Lindsay Wagner made so many good points to her, because she was like, how dare you, how could you do this to me and ruin my life? You did this to me. And she's like, how did I do anything to you? You didn't even know I existed until last week. And the woman was like, well, and then Lindsay Wagner was like, I knew of you. I was the one who was like, he wouldn't leave you. I was the one, she was going through this completely different experience. And so she's running herself ragged through one experience. The other woman's waking up to this other experience. But you see like play out this, like, it was like this side of themselves that they had to see, like, because it's never somebody else's fault. We make these decisions for ourselves. We put ourselves in these situations, but this is where we got to realize we put ourselves in these situations so we can learn, so we can grow. Everything is about this learning and growing. That's what you're doing here. That's why you're here, is to learn and to grow. And so it is like everything that you get from your opportunity. And always remember, like, when you are all caught up in anger and resentment and stuff, that's when you make bad choices. That's the shit that you get to your life review, that you're like, oh my God, how can I fix this? How can I fix this? It's like when you get away from the scenario, away from the scene, when the impact isn't as raw, and you get in and you see the repercussions of your choices, then that is where you feel like it's deeper pain. It's very, like, you don't want to get into that part. You want to, especially when things are being brought up to you that make you angry and resentful, Go into yourself and try and see where is it coming from. And, because once that woman could get to that part and see, like, yeah, it really was. Like, she knew he was having affairs. Where did she think it was going to go? I mean, he would tell her, oh, he's so sorry. And she'd get back together with him. But then when it ends up, this long affair, and he was with this lady 8 years, then it's like, but, I knew, I was there. Like, what did I think was going to happen? Where did I think it was going to go? Like, somebody who is going to keep doing their bad behavior, it's like you become an enabler when you don't stand up for your own value and say, oh, no, instead your need to be around this person, I love them so much, I can't be away from them, you know um, is like, it's something else. There's another lesson. Like, there's something there that you have to learn, because once you can get to that part where you shift, like, no, you're not good for me. Like, yeah, I like you a lot, but you're not good for me. I got to take care of me. And then sometimes, the people who aren't good for you will heal, and they will improve themselves, and they'll do better, and then they may be good for you, and then you can reevaluate, if that is what you want. But you got to stand firm in being always guarding yourself, not guarding in the point of like keeping everybody away from you because someone may hurt you. But when somebody has hurt you and you just go back for more, that is when you got to reevaluate. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep going back and letting this person re-abuse me? Because they're not making you feel better. You're feeling bad. So you got to try and figure out, like, how to get yourself to be the one who feels good. So you're taking care of yourself, not just, taking a need to their needs, to their whims, to their, oh, I'm sorry. That's one thing that even when people would try and tell me years later, oh, well, I'm sorry. It's like, I don't ever, like, I'm sorry is so worthless. It's like, I'm sorry is an excuse. It's like, if you're sorry about something, then change it. Do something different. Don't just say, oh, I'm sorry, and then I'm going to turn around and do it again. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, didn't mean. Oh, sorry. It's one thing if you're doing the same kind of thing over and over and over. And I'm talking about on big things, because there's lots of little things, that we all do. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that again. Oh, sorry. But, like going and cheating on somebody, stealing from somebody, taking. Oh, yeah, because that one, uh, when I was young and I was living in these apartments, and this girl, we had kids that were like the same age, and our kids would play together, and she pretended to befriend me, but she was so conniving. Like, she did this whole thing to find out what it was when we very first got ATM cards, and we had little code words or something. I don't remember what it was. Like, you had some kind of a thing. Now we have numbers, but it seems like it was something else back a long time ago. And so she had said something to me about mine. And I was just like talking, kind of joking around about it, because I don't remember what it was. It seemed like it was some word. And I didn't think that much about it. I didn't know that friends would go and sneak and get into your purse and steal your ATM card, and then go down to your bank and steal all your money out. Like, I didn't, that was my first experience with that. And so, yeah, I had a lot of different times of people coming in and doing really shady stuff. Like, I was pretty trusting. Like, if you're a kind, trusting person, you've probably been hurt a lot, because you think everybody's like you. You go around and you think, well, why would somebody do something shitty like that? And it's always shocking. Like, what? Like, fuck, man. Like, what is wrong with people, like, to do such shitty things? But, and then people will turn around and laugh at you because for being trusting and being caring. And, I'm not going to let them take some things away from me. you know, you got to be like more aware or whatever. Like maybe not as trusting, but I'm not going to become like a hardened, that was one thing, like Joan Woodward in the movie, she just was becoming so hardened and bitter and angry. It was like all because this guy cheated on you. And look at how you are letting that destroy you. Like, don't let other people's bad behavior destroy you. Like, don't. Their behavior is their behavior. What you have allowed for yourself, that's what you got to reflect on. And it's always going to lead back to, you being insecure, you feeling bad about yourself. It's always like sad stuff. It's not like because you're a total dick. Like maybe you were a dick in a different life, and so now you had to come back and play it out and stuff like, I don't know. You never know. But just remember through the whole thing, you got to remember to love yourself, love everyone, and have a loving day. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.